I'm Selna Kim, America's Face of Dating, and today I'm going to be giving you one simple trick to use to make her think about you nonstop, whether that's in the club, whether that's after you've met her for the first time, or you're really trying to spark that dating life to the next level. Use this and I guarantee you, you will be running through her mind all day long. This trick has to deal with a little bit of NLP. NLP basically, it's almost like hypnosis in this way where she's reminded later of these good emotions that she's had with you when she's not with you, so it causes her to think about you or associate all these really, really good feelings with you. You could use your hands for NLP, or you can use an object. For example, the best example I can think of is when a lot of guys that I've coached or that I've known, they actually will get random texts from this ex that they're trying to get back in the middle of the night, and she just says, hey. And so what that really is a lot of the times is where she's probably considering getting back with her ex-boyfriend, and she's probably like on the fence about it, she's talking to her friends about it, and then later that night she probably pulls out some object that he gave her, for example like a necklace or a card or an outfit. She pulls it out and then she remembers a memory with that card, with that necklace, with that outfit, and then it causes her to start thinking about him. And then when she thinks about him, she reaches out to him and texts him, because as soon as you start running through a woman's mind more, then her attraction starts to grow for you. The first time that I ever used this, I was at this wine canvas, and I walked in. There was this really, really sexy girl there with blonde hair. It was like highlighted, like a golden zebra in a way. And so I walk in, I'm like, oh, like, SK is like, oh, hot girl, I guess gonna go sit by her. And so I walk in, sit by her, and wine and canvas is where you basically just paint something with a glass of wine in your hand, and there's a lot of people around you. And so I walk up to this girl, sit next to her. I just start up like this really normal, really bland conversation with her, and over time we start flirting, and I look at her canvas, and it looked like shit, so I teased her on it, and I was like, wow, you are quite the artist here. And she blushed and told me to shut up, but this day my game was just on fire, and it's like everything I said was just making her fall for me more and more. And I was about to whip out this technique until I remember this guy came up during this wine and canvas, and he was basically trying to cock block me in a way, because he wanted her obviously, and he was trying to cock block me. But this was when we were about to leave, and so right before she walked out, this guy standing there watching. This is when I whipped out the technique. And so what this technique that I did personally is that I saw that she was wearing a necklace, and so I took off mine, and I said, here, I was like, you keep my necklace. And I went behind her, wrapped it around her neck, and I said, you keep my necklace, and let me keep yours. And I said, you keep it until the next week when we come here, because we had a schedule for next week, she said. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to come here next week as well. So I was like, keep my necklace on, and then I'll keep yours on. And I was like, keep it until the next time I see you. And she did that. And so, but it didn't take her a week to reach out to me. She actually hunted down my social media and found me. And I'll supply the text messages for that, or the Instagram DMs for that in a second, and show you like what I really said. But I wanted to go into detail on what this technique really does. So when you give a girl, for example, after a first date, after a first night meeting her in the club, or maybe after a first dinner, or really just talking to her on the streets, and you give her something like a swizzle stick or your necklace, for example, your golden chain, and you tell her to wear that for the next time you see her, something cheap really. Every time that she looks in the mirror, and this is my favorite one about the necklace, is that every time she looked in the mirror, because the girls, this is my strategy really, is that girls, obviously they're on Snapchat or they're taking selfies a lot, and so every time they take a selfie, every time they're looking at themselves, fixing their makeup, on their phone, in the mirror, in the bathroom, every time they're looking at themselves in their reflection, whether that's phone screen, mirror, she was thinking about me, because every time she looked at herself, she saw the gold chain that I gave her. And so every time she looked at the gold chain, she was reminded of the great emotions that she shared with me. And it caused her to think about me so much, and had those good emotions just flowing through her mind and her body so much that she couldn't wait. She had to reach out to me that night. So that night, she reaches out to me and she sends me a selfie of her wearing my golden chain, and that's what that is. As you can see below, she turned out to be a little bit of a Fruit Loop later down the road, and so I had to block her. She became kind of like a stalker, and I was like, yeah, this is just not gonna work for me. And she said, last time I ever did this, but had to show you, and that was because we actually had this conversation during the Wine and Canvas where she was like, she said, you know, I'm just more of an in-person. I told her to come up and sit by me, and she didn't want to come up and sit by me. But before that, I was like, she was talking about this guy across the room that came up and tried to cock block us, and she was like, he's super weird. He DMs me on Instagram all the time. And I was like, oh, so that means that you're more of an in-person kind of girl. And she was like, yeah, I guess you could say that. And then I was like, well, why don't you come up here and sit by me? And she was like, well, I don't want to like grab all my stuff and just move next to you. Like everyone's going to see me move next to you, like all this, you know, banter, drama, whatever. And so I was like, well, I must have heard you wrong then. And she was like, what? And I was like, well, you said that you're more of an in-person kind of girl, so I guess I was wrong. Next time I'm just going to DM you on Instagram. She's like, shut up. She eventually moved and sat next to me, but that night, she hunted down my social media, and I didn't actually realize this before, but she was actually a surgeon. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, operate on me, please. But she DMs me, she says, last time I ever did this, but had to show you. And that's where that inside joke kind of came from that you're about to see below. And then I sent her a selfie back of the necklace that she let me wear from her. And I said, first time I ever did this, but I had to show you. And the mimic lines you see here that she said, last time I ever did this, but I had to show you. And then I said, first time I ever did this, but I had to show you. The lines where you basically mirror their lines and counter them, those are some of the best flirting lines. I was watching Suits the other day, and Harvey Specter was trying to flirt with this other lawyer, and they were having this debate back and forth. This lawyer had a client, then Harvey Specter was with his associate, Mike Ross, and they're Mike and Harvey are disciplining, or like they're trying to like get out that the other lawyer did this wrongdoing, and they're talking about these trains, and what they said was that it's just routine. They're like, it's just routine that we check these trains, because apparently there was some big crash, and they were suing for that crash, and so they go, it's just routine. And so the lawyer that Harvey was flirting with, she was like, are you just going to keep asking him pointless questions? And then Harvey goes, yeah, it's just routine. And so like he mirrors her line, their line that they said is just routine for the trains. He goes, yeah, it's just routine that we do that. And he like looks at her and smirks. And so when you mirror lines like that, it's very, very flirtatious. It's like basically you're just throwing it back at them, their words back at them. And it really turns women on, actually. So if ever you were put in that position, which actually can happen more commonly than you think, make sure to mirror their lines back onto them. So I said, first time I ever did this, but had to show you. Sent a selfie of me wearing her necklace. I actually found out I was wearing the necklace backwards, which was hilarious. I didn't even fucking know that. But then she says, should have showed me in person. And that's a very, very flirtatious like thing to say. Like, let's just get, that's basically her saying, let's just get together. Like, let's get together as soon as possible. And then she was like, look at us messaging on Instagram. And I said, let's make it happen. And I said, I know you said I'm an in-person kind of girl. And then she messaged me on Instagram. And so I'm basically teasing her for that. And then she said, notice the last time I ever do this. So it's like already the banter, the drama in these messages. And so I just want to show you a little bit of the banter and the effect that this has, because that night, you know, she reaches out to me on social media and says that. And it's because that necklace, every time she looked at herself in the mirror, on the phone, like I said, she was thinking of me, and her attraction rose so much for me that she had to reach out that night and talk to me. And so that's the effect of what NLP and really doing this can do. And another one before I head out is that you can actually do this with a hoodie. For example, I don't recommend this on the first date, but I would do this on the second date, is that you can have a box of cheap hoodies in your trunk, and as soon as the date is almost over, you pull out one of the hoodies from your trunk and say, this is for you, and then we'll wear that. So every time that she goes to sleep at night, she's going to be thinking of you, and then you have it with some of your cologne on it and everything. And so every time she looks at that hoodie, every time she wears it when she's at school or when she's going to her work or whatever, and she's going to be thinking of you. And so it's a really, really good one to use on the second or third date to really take your relationship, really take your dating life to the next level and have you running through her mind like crazy. If you need help with attraction, dating, personal life, business life, then know that the fastest way to get a hold of me is to go to my website and book a paid coaching session with yours truly. Or you can also jump into my book, Waking the Core of Man, where I discuss hundreds of techniques that make her think about you all day long. If you like the video, then make sure to comment, subscribe, send me an email, like the video, and I'll see you next time.